Hey, everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your secret identity to the masses?
Hello, folks. My name is Adam Harrington. I'm a voice actor who specializes in video game characters, and it's great to be on 91.8 The Fan.
And we're very, very happy to have you. And the important question before we get to anything else, let's just get it out of the way. Do you prefer capes or no capes for your secret
Cape,
identity?
well, that is definitely a curveball, but yeah, I'd have to go with a cape.
Okay, perfect. Well, stay away from those airplanes. You might get sucked into one.
Hey.
But for all the listeners out there who might be a little bit unfamiliar with your timeline of work, let's go a little bit back in time, maybe to when you were in diapers, maybe to when you were in overalls. We'll have to figure that out and
Okay.
figure out how you initially got into acting.
Well, I again, I'm mostly a voice actor. I've dabbled a little bit in on-camera stuff, but mostly by happenstance. I was actually a telemarketer. Please don't send your hate mail. I'm not a telemarketer anymore, but I was a telemarketer for about 15 years, and surprisingly, voiceover and telemarketing are a lot more similar than some might think. Uh, Along with the video games, I do a lot of commercial work, and telemarketing and commercials are both essentially reading a script, trying to sound like you are not reading a script to sell a product or service. And I had often gotten comments from both coworkers and people on the phone that I was trying to pitch that, wow, you got a great voice, you should be on radio. And I never had any real aspirations to be a DJ. I've heard it's actually it can be very horrible work, but what I was a class clown, and I tended to mimic teachers and other students and friends and family members, and figured I'd once the telemarketing stuff started drying up in the late '90s due to cell phones and caller ID. I figured I better find something to do, so I jumped into some voice acting classes and apparently did pretty well and pretty quickly climbed up the ladder, got an agent, and bam, here I am today.
I can't imagine starting at telemarketing, like, not because I think it's hard for those guys too, because they must get yelled at and ignored and insulted all the time.
Now, those are the ones who aren't good salesmen.
So I assume you were always at the top of the charts.
Trust me, I got it. It is not easy work. It's definitely you've got to have the stamina. You've got to be able to deal with rejection. But I'm finding that there's less and less of it for the same reasons I mentioned before. Is caller ID was a big hit to the telemarketing industry, and again, cell phones. People do not, as you might imagine, appreciate being contacted by telemarketers on their cell phone when they're actually paying for the privilege to be pitched on something they never asked to buy in the first place.
I always try and be nice to two people on the phone, telemarketers and tech support. Those are the two people I think might have the worst jobs over the phone.
Well, yeah, and it's very easy to get angry and yell at them, but you do have to remember, please, that these folks are just trying to pay the bills, and there are some scams out there, but for the most part, it's legitimate, and the best thing actually you can do for a telemarketer, I often try to tell people this, is just hang up. If you're not interested, just hang up because the longer they waste, talking to you the that's they could be spending that time trying to make a sale with someone else. But I know you guys didn't want to talk to me about telemarketing.
Well, now the listeners know for the future, and that is the first telemarketing to voice actor story I've ever heard. I've heard a lot of weird ones, like from pizza delivery to voice acting, or I was in a play to voice acting, but that's the first telemarketing story, so we have to talk about it a little bit.
It is, and trust me, it essentially when I got into the classes, I studied with a woman named Susan McCullum at Voice Media, Susan and Friends Casting, and she was surprised that I hadn't had any acting classes or any training, and when I told her what I did, she it clicked, and she said, yeah, I mean, essentially, I was using my voice and performing, 8 hours a day, and so I kind of had a leg up on a lot of the other beginning students.
Well, now one thing I have to wonder is because video games have kind of evolved leaps and bounds in the past 5 to 10 years. So, have you seen, the growth yourself, how technology has changed and how the treatment of, bringing in actual voice actors has changed versus, like someone who worked on the game who lives in the basement of the office?
Well, a lot of those guys that work on the games and live in the basement of the office end up doing a lot of the voices on the games as well. A lot of times just because it's convenient and they're there. Um, but technology obviously is changing everything. It's changing the voice. It's in the past 3 years, it has completely turned the voiceover industry on its ear. Um, Used to be that I would go into my agency with a bunch of other voice actors to audition. Whereas now you cannot be in this industry without having a home studio and having the capability of both auditioning and doing actual paying gigs from home. I'm doing the interview from my home in my home studio, where 3 years ago I would have laughed at you if you told me this was going to happen. But yeah, and definitely we are obviously seeing more and more voiceover in games. But I mean, you guys interviewed J.S. Gilbert a while back. He was doing voices for games back in the '80s. So it's always been there. But I find that Telltale Games, who I do a lot of work with, really incorporates the voiceover, really the best of almost any developer I've worked with. They make the voice acting a huge part of the game. I don't know if you had the chance to play the Walking Dead game, but it is definitely centered around the performances, and we voice actors love that stuff.
Well, I've played a little bit of Sam and Max and the Back to the Future game from Telltale, but I downloaded The Walking Dead episode 1 and 2 because they just made that free for PlayStation Plus members like this week. So I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but I'm waiting for it.
Wish I knew that. I paid for it.
Well, you still have to pay for PlayStation Plus. It's like $50 a year, but you get a bunch of free games with it.
There's the rub.
Yeah, I wish it was free all the time. But no, that seems like a really interesting aspect of gaming. Like it seems like voice actors are, really being taken into consideration because in gaming you have to consider the fact that you guys are doing like death screams or reaction sounds or grunts and all this other stuff. So they have to really take care of you guys.
I literally just about an hour and a half ago got out of the studio working with a regular client, Somatone, on a war game, and that was essentially what I was doing for 45 minutes was dying and killing and screaming and being shot and falling. I was electrocuted. I was burned. Yeah, so it's definitely a workout. I know on days when I'm doing a pretty heavy video game, I can skip the jogging because I come out of there drenched in sweat. It's incredible.
Really? So do you actually enjoy it or does it take a lot of out of you and you're like, "Oh, I can't wait to rest."
I love it, and it taxes you.
Well, have you ever had any sort of moment where perhaps you lost your voice for a little bit or anything like that?
Absolutely. In fact, speaking of The Walking Dead, it just worked out to where the timing was perfect. There were a lot of sessions. It was a lot of voice work, and I was playing Andy St. John, the episode 2 bad guy. And the final scene, without giving any spoilers away, is very heavy. And there's a big battle scene at the end involving myself and the main character Lee, who is voiced by a good friend of mine, Dave Fenoy. Um, and my voice at that point was starting to give out, but it actually added to the performance. The characters were out in the rain; they were beating each other to a bloody pulp, and my voice started to crack and it was just it was the perfect storm, no pun intended, because we were out in a storm, but my voice was cracking and giving out just at the right time. So on the other hand, it can be obviously inconvenient if you've got hours of script in front of you and you've already blown out your voice. What a lot of the good directors and producers will do is have you do all of the dialogue first and save what we call the impact sounds for last. The again, the dying, the killing, the falling, climbing, all that stuff, because that really is what will blow your voice out.
Okay, impact sounds is a new one for me. I've always called it reaction sounds. So I'll make sure to write that in my voice acting dictionary. Well, now, another game that you're very involved with that the listeners really enjoy is a nice little game called League of Legends that is immensely popular.
And getting bigger. It's amazing.
Now, actually, you just went to an event for that, if I remember correctly, with a few other of your voice acting brethren.
That's right. I actually organized five other voice actors that were in League of Legends. A lot of the League of Legends champions were voiced by Bay Area voice actors. I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and IPL San Francisco 2012, held by IGN, essentially a tournament, both StarCraft and League of Legends this weekend in the city. And yeah, IGN contacted me and asked if I could organize the guys, and we did. Already the videos are up on YouTube. We actually got up on stage. It was a packed house. The fans loved us. I had no idea. I or my brethren, as you call them, when we went in to record this little game 4 years ago, we had no idea. In fact, I'm pretty sure Ryan had no idea just how big this thing was going to become. But my five characters have since, without question, become my principals to date. And I showcase reels for myself and for other voice actors, usually video game reels. And a couple years ago, while I was researching on YouTube looking for clips of our work, I came across just all the fan work related to League of Legends and was blown away. I came across a kid named Boss Panda, also Fringe Beats on YouTube, who does League of Legends raps. And I found one where he incorporated my Shaco voice. And I actually contacted the kid. I said, "This is amazing." I said, "If you ever want me to do something for one of your raps," and of course he jumped on it. And we did a Mordekaiser rap, and it sort of snowballed from there. I've been doing a lot of fan projects. I was recently called out by Grass Hiron, who is another one of the super fans. 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Called me out for a League of Legends cipher that's going out right now. Started by some guys at Player POV, Cody and the Collective, and I had no idea what a cipher was. I had to look it up, but it's a rap test, and I said, "What the hell?" And I did it and incorporated again a bunch of my League of Legends voice actor friends. And 300,000 hits later, I really do see the power and the sort of universe that these fans have created around this game. It's incredible.
Well, now it's really nice to hear that you were actually going to the fans about that. I'm sure that that was really neat for a gamer fan to be like, oh my God, this person's messaging me. Oh my God."
It was neat for me too. I'm telling you.
Well, now at the event that you guys were just at, did you guys party hardy or what sort of things were you able to do and interact with the fans there?
The really cool thing about it is that, as you might imagine, as video game voice actors, obviously we're not recognized on the street very often, and if ever, and a lot of times we're not even credited on the games. But these fans are so savvy and so into it that they're so familiar with all our characters that IGN said, "We're going to set you up at a table out in the lobby and have you sign autographs." And my reaction was, "Autographs? Nobody's going to want our art stopping." And we were, of course, happy to give them. We were interacting with all the fans. It was an amazing experience.
Well, I tell a lot of people this, and I think it's becoming my new saying, but both anime and video game gamers just really enjoy how you guys bring the characters to life, and they're very passionate about it. And I think because you guys, you're stuck in a booth, you really don't get to see it unless you go to a convention or unless you're scouring the internet for it.
Or we're playing the game. Some of us are gamers. I am, I still have yet to play a game of League of Legends. A, because I have a Mac. B, because I'm a little scared, man. The noob hazing factor in this game. You trust me, I am aware that there's a hierarchy, and you got to kind of pay your dues. When you first start playing, you are definitely a noob freshman, and you're gonna have to take the hazing. But I plan on organizing possibly a game with me and some of the other voice actors, incorporating some of the pro players. I've been talking to a few of them, and I've had a little interaction with Dyrus, who is, I think, the number one player in the world, and on TSM, and some of the other YouTube celebrities. A guy named P Bat, who again is another YouTube League of Legends guy. But yeah, it goes both ways. We are, when I say we, I mean all of my friends that are League of Legends voice actors. We are just blown away by the love and appreciation that we get from the summoners, and no other game comes close to this.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I haven't tried the game yet either because I hear my staff and they're always yelling at the top of their lungs whenever they play this game together, and I'm just like, I think I'm gonna stay out of this one because it's like my guest relations manager Chris. He's always like, at the top of his lungs, and I'm just like, maybe you should take a chill pill, dude. Just a little one.
I do game. I'm more of a console guy. I'm a PS3 guy, and
High five. You're my favorite guest now.
my worry is that the PS3 is going to start getting phased out, and I don't own an Xbox, but I see having to learn the Xbox joystick in my future here pretty soon, unfortunately. Although it seems like consoles may even be a thing of the past sooner than we might think. So I don't know. I mean, who knows? And I don't think anybody knows where the gaming world's going to be in 3 years. Wherever it's going to be amazing.
Well, I know that they're working on the next generation of consoles. We've seen Nintendo go from Wii to Wii U. And as for PlayStation 3, like Sony and Microsoft, what they do next, we probably won't know until the next E3 or even the next one. So hopefully, we're not getting rid of consoles anytime soon because I love my PlayStation 3 so much.
Long as they keep the PS3 or the PS joystick, period, exactly the way it is, I'll be happy because I'm not good at learning new stuff.
Hey, I can understand that. That controller's been with me since I was about five or so when the PlayStation 1 came out.
That's what has intimidated me about League of Legends too. Is I've never been a PC gamer. I've never used a keyboard to game or a mouse. And I know once you get the hang of it, it just sort of becomes second nature. And again, I and my friends, I'm good friends with Eric Bra, who you guys just interviewed. I just left after my booking. I ran and met him at IKEA, him and his wife. God knows why I went there. But he and I have been talking about, jumping into the game. So we'll be in there eventually. We'll probably be anonymous until we learn how to be not so horrible. And then maybe we'll come out as our characters.
Well, for the listeners out there, we're going to take a very short break, but let us know what you think about controller designs. Do you want them to stay the same or do you want them to change? Let us know in our live chat. Also, keep it tuned because our special guest isn't going anywhere. Up next is Psy with Gundam Style. You're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Hey, everybody out there! You're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and my special guest is still in the corner and hopefully alive. Are you breathing?
Hey now.
Hey, he's alive. That's always my favorite reaction when they show that, I haven't hurt them.
Not yet.
Not yet. But, one of the things we were kind of talking about behind the scenes is if, you had anything that you wanted the listeners to know about, maybe any projects that recently came out, or anything that you would like to, let them know about in case they missed it. Maybe it came out a while ago.
Well, that was released. As I said, I can talk about that. Things I'm working on now or will be working on. Obviously, I don't want to get in trouble with the hand that feeds me, so I got to be hush hush about that. But really, the biggest one is the Walking Dead game. That is getting huge reviews, And on top of it, it's a big deal for me because I'm a big fan of both the TV show and the graphic novels. And I finished the entire first compendium in like 3 or 4 days. I'm kind of bummed I actually read the whole thing now because I think I spoiled the next 3 seasons of the TV show for myself.
Well, it's funny. I've never actually done anything with The Walking Dead before because we've seen so many sort of zombie-esque things lately that it's kind of been overwhelming. But I think as a Stephen King fan, a hardcore Stephen King fan, I need to check out the video game and try it.
The only books I read are Stephen King books.
Oh, I'm the same way. I love his books.
Yeah, I just finished the Kennedy thing, and the next thing is the Dark Tower thing. I'm not too sure what it's about, but I'm excited about it. I saw him on Craig Ferguson, and I had no idea he was going to continue with the Dark Tower stuff. So I'm excited.
Well, completely random question since we're on Stephen King, but do you have a favorite Stephen King book?
Oh, absolutely, The Stand.
Ah, that's a really good one. I wish the miniseries was a little bit better, but
Man, that was horrible, wasn't it? Wow.
it was.
But most adaptations, it just it's it. I think there are a few. The Shining was good, and a couple others, but for the most part, there's only one way to enjoy Stephen King, and that's reading him.
Definitely. Though I do think it was 1408 was really good. And they did also a Shining TV miniseries that
Yeah,
was also really good that I thought.
boy, I feel bad saying this, but I don't know why, but the kid bugged me in that in the TV version.
Hey, some certain actors can be kind of annoying if you don't
I
like them.
shouldn't be saying that about a little kid. I don't know what it was, but the guy from Wings bugged me too. I don't know. I guess just after Jack Nicholson, why do it again?
I think it's because there's so much they missed from the book. So they were trying to like flesh out the entire thing. But I don't think you can have sort of the random narrative he has in the shows. Like he'll describe a character and certain things about them and introduce the character that way, and you can't really put that in a visual medium. So
Yeah, there's nothing like reading the books.
exactly. And sorry that we got off on a tangent, but for the listeners out there that want to keep up to date, on other things that you're doing besides The Walking Dead, do you Facebook, do you Twitter, do you keep anybody updated anywhere on the worldwide interwebs?
I'm trying to figure out the Twitter thing. I'm still, I'm still feeling it out. I am sticking to YouTube. I'm having a lot of fun on YouTube. I'm again mostly with the League of Legends summoners. Just meeting so many creative, interesting people. I really believe that YouTube is the future of entertainment, and really the only way for people to get an unhomogenized, sort of artistic view out there to the masses. And I'm having a lot of fun, just with League of Legends itself, building projects for the fans, getting involved with fan projects, and yeah, it's I'm having a lot of fun on YouTube. I tend to push that more than anything else.
And now your user on YouTube, I believe, is Harrington VO, correct?
Yeah, pretty much across the board. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Harrington VO will get you. In fact, my website is harringtonvo.com. So username Harrington VO at YouTube. Yeah, you'll see all kinds of League of Legends stuff, as well as many of my other gaming characters.
Well, now I know that you just were at an event, but do you have any events lined up for 2012, or will you keep us updated?
Well, there are going to be all kinds of things coming up. I unfortunately jumped on the train a little late. I just have again on YouTube happened to come across Christina V's appearances at IPL events, and I thought, hey, you know what? I could do that too. So I got in touch with some of the guys at Riot, and actually the guys at IGN got in touch with me, and yeah, we're working on all kinds of stuff. The reaction that we got from the fans on stage on Sunday was just amazing, and I cannot get enough of that. And I want to bring my friends along with me. The voiceover community here in the Bay Area is very tight, and we just had a blast up there.
Well, make sure to let us know about any future events, and we'll let the listeners out there know.
Absolutely.
And now, since we're nearing the end of this interview, I was wondering if you'd be willing to participate in a 91. Oh,
There.
yes, I'm still here. The wonders of
Sorry,
technology.
I lost you there for a second, but I can hear you now.
All right, awesome. Basically, since we're nearing the end of this interview, I was wondering if you'd be willing to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Sure.
Awesome. We ask all the voice actors, or actually all the people we have on, if they'd be willing to do a radio bump for us.
Sure.
Awesome. The trick of it, however, is that we do the takes live on air, so if you mess up, all the listeners get to hear it.
Hey, I'm a pro, man. They pay me to perform on the.
Awesome. Then I think we're all set for that.
I really better not mess up now.
Well, basically we ask if you'd be willing to say, "Hello, my name is," you insert your name. "I do this." You can insert characters you've done, you're a voice actor, whatever you want to put there. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Okay, got it.
So
Tell me.
whenever you're ready, we're ready on this side.
Hi there. This is Adam Harrington, voice actor. You might know me better as Shaco from League of Legends. And you're listening to 91.8 The Fan. And if you don't stay tuned, I'll make you disappear.
That was amazing. I think you're a pro. I really do.
I'm trying, hon.
I think you've had a lot of practice. I think you'll get far.
Well, the only problem is my voice is shot, so hopefully, hopefully that didn't sound too horribly strained.
Well, we don't want to damage your voice. So before we let you go, is there anything
Uh-oh.
else you'd like to tell the listeners out there? Oh, it seems we might.
Just that I had a. Can you hear me?
Oh, yep. Lovely Skype. We love the internet so much. But is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there?
Just that I had a great time talking with you, and also I had a great time with the Summoners this weekend. Look for myself and some of my champion voice actor friends to uh, appearing at future Loves events near you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this. This was a ton of fun. And for anybody out there that missed any of this interview, don't fret. You can find it on the website within the next few days. So keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com and your ears tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't.